After a lot of prying and pulling at this thing, I finally got it. Let's see what's underneath it. What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to see what's inside of this RC car. In the last video I made about this car, I said that I couldn't figure out how to get this body off. If you don't remember that, then here it is. If you look at it right, you can see that the body is like slanted and you can't do anything to fix it because one of the screws is hidden underneath this and the other one is screwed on at the tire cap. And I don't really know how you would get to, oh, you just get to that one right there. But I don't know how you get to the front one. So maybe that'll be something for another video to see how we can take that off. So the first screw is obviously right there like I said. And I just found the second one after recording that video. It is hidden right there. So now that I know that, we are now able to take this car apart as far as I know. Alright, let's get into this thing. There's the screws, here's the body. I'm going to put that there so I don't forget where those screws go. Something else that I just remembered to do that I'm glad I did is take these batteries out so I don't get shocked if I touch the motherboard or something like that. Now looking underneath the body, you can see there's a cord going into where it looks like the motor is and where the steering is. Here's the antenna for it, and it looks like there's a screw there. I think that goes to the battery compartment. I don't know where the motherboard is stored, but we'll find all that out. So what I just did, I believe I just unhooked the steering, and as I was doing that, I just saw the motherboard. This is the motherboard that's inside of the car. Nothing special. This is basically what you see in these cars like this. This is what controls the motor, the steering, and what the batteries go into. Now the thing that I saw down there was just the converter from battery energy to bring it to the motherboard, to bring it to the motors. Now something that I'm worried to do is take apart that screw right there, because if I do that, I risk losing the steering in this, because these cars are not meant to be taken apart. They're not like these cars. So if I were to do that and were to lose a gear or a spring, I'd probably never be able to get that back on and never be able to get steering on this again. But who cares, because I'm doing it anyway. Now what I want to do is get in this motor and the gearbox. And to do that, there's a little tab right there to get a screwdriver into to pull that off. And after that, I hope there won't be gears flying everywhere, but there's one way to find out. I mean, hey, it's 10 bucks. So after a lot of prying and pulling at this thing, I finally got it. Let's see what's underneath it. Oh, okay, that's actually not bad. It's just a pinion and spur gear, it looks like. Just sits in there, so I can take out this whole axle, take out this whole gear. And it's something that's actually really nice. They put grease in there, which makes it spin a lot easier and puts less stress on the motor, therefore it keeps your batteries lasting longer. What I've actually thought about doing, I've looked over this steering a little bit, and I'm going to go ahead and take this cover off to see how these gears are positioned underneath there. So all I need to do is take off these 3 screws, hopefully be able to pop this cap off, leaving all the screws in there, or else I lose steering and I will have to unhook all the steering links in order to do that. So let's get right into it. Alright guys, so I just unscrewed these screws and it looks like I won't have to take off the steering because boom, this just slides right off. I'll set it to the side. Now we can see how the steering works. So that little spring right there is what I was worried about losing. See, it just came off. But I'll be able to put that on really easily. Just pop it in those 2 places. I won't be able to do it with holding the camera. But what happens is, when you push it this way, the spring pulls it back. Push it this way, the spring pulls it back. And the motor is not proportional, which means when you press the throttle, it stays full throttle in the way you turned it until you turn it back. And the spring is what brings it back. So the only thing I have to do is not lose this, and I will be just fine. And you are about to see this car completely taken apart. I can just pull the tires off right there, and wow. Let's just set that up there. Now this car is absolutely completely taken apart. I mean, except for some other things like the motherboard and other stuff like that, because they are completely glued to the surface. This is a sight to see, and I'm sure there's not one other YouTube channel that has done this before. I mean, guys, look at this. There are parts everywhere. This is all from this little toy grade RC car. Now I'm going to say I do not recommend taking this apart. I just did this for fun. If you really want to do it, you could, but there is a chance of not being able to put it back together. Now after saying that, I do have to say this actually came apart pretty easy for a $10 car. I was not expecting this, but it's pretty cool to see how they made it. I mean, they made the transmission easy to take apart and greased it to make it easier for the motor to run, and they made it so if the gearbox ever gets taken apart, you don't lose springs and gears everywhere, which is a really nice touch for people like me. Alright, let's get one last view of this thing before I put it back together. Alright, now if you want to see me do this to any of my other toy grade RC cars, let me know in the comments down below. Now I'm going to try to put this thing back together. Wish me luck, guys. So here we are about 20 minutes later, and it seems like I have everything put back together. And honestly, this was actually pretty fun taking this apart. Now like I said before, if you don't think you can remember to put everything back together where it was, don't take this apart, because I don't want you to have to buy another one. Now after making a risk of taking apart that steering assembly and gearbox, let's see if this thing still works. Alright, moment of truth. Okay, this works just fine, rolls just fine, and let's check the steering. Oh yeah, sweet. Okay, I just gotta reset that dial, but everything seems to be working absolutely great. Alright guys, that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed seeing this thing taken completely apart, and I hope to see you in one of my next videos. Stay awesome. Peace.